Good morning. God, I should have done the hair and the makeup much better. How is everyone? I want to say hello. That was a rough and tumble there to Miley. Miley's here this morning. We'll say hello to the rest of them along the way. And oh my God, he's a bit cuddlesome. He is, but he wants to run off now. So I hope everybody had a good week. We had a very exciting week. We have a new girl in town. She's just here looking over the camera. I don't want to mess around with her too much. But we have Jessie. Here's Kitty. Kitty Hauna. And Jessie's a new girl. Jessie's kid had a kid and it died because of an accident. So she was very upset where she was and she kept looking for the kid and missing it. So the man that had her, who's a fantastic husband, animal husband, I suppose, really, because he's got goats and pigs, and you can't say he's a goat farmer. He's got goats, he's got pigs, beautiful small little, I can't remember the name, and he's got tiny little pygmy goats that are 2 years old and they haven't grown for some reason. They're really just like, I was calling him the Paris Hilton goat. She could nearly put it into her handbag. And he's donkeys, and he has hens, and he has geese, and he has turkeys. So Jessie was missing her baby up there because, you know what I mean, she said it should be here or it should be there. So she got a whole new lease of life Monday evening and came down and she settled in. And we had an accident. I was trying to put some fenugreek seed into her food. It's very good for goats, and it helps them let down the milk a bit easier, because I know after the kid feeding off her, she was probably trying to retain the milk a little bit just in case. So the fenugreek is very good, but of course I forgot to put it into her food beforehand. So I was in the middle of doing this and my head over, she didn't know what I was doing, and of course she'd only known me a little while, and she pulled back and she just, you can't see it now, she hit me in the eye, the poor thing, but my glasses were intact and everything else was intact, which was fantastic. So all's well that ends well, and Jessie settled in, and it's great news because she's milking, because I had some people looking for milk and now I'm able to give them some milk as well. So that's it. And I have goat's milk as well, which I like drinking goat's milk, and I have that as well. So thanks to Jessie and welcome. I don't know, can you, there she is. So Jessie is, I know, is that, technology. Jessie is a boar goat. She got a lovely new purple collar as well. She's a boar goat, and it's not that she's just not interesting. That's her breed. They come from South Africa, I think, and they're very, very popular in America. And they're mainly for meat, but they give great milk as well. And I just love her coloring because I don't know, it keeps reminding me that she's got her pajamas on or something, because her head, and I think the color of her nose. There you go, that's you. That's you. It's a bit kind of human, the nose, because of the pinky color. So it's a bit disconcerting at times. So we're very lucky to have a dry spell for this morning because it has been really, really wet and we've had some terrible showers. And look who's here now. Druid. Mwah. You can, of course. At some stage, we'll definitely be talking about that once restrictions are up. And this is Druid. And I remember my sisters had a little, careful now, I don't know, Jessie, how you're going to get on with Druid. But they had a kind of like a little lamb teddy bear that they used to put their night dresses in. And he reminds me of them because he's so soft. He's part Angora, himself and his sister, Driox. So they're part Angora, yes. And funnily enough, Jessie's baby was part Angora. So it's such a, you know, because the Angoras are a great goat. They're here for wool. I don't know, you might have heard me talk about this the first week, which is now gone. But they're great for wool, but their legs are just not suited to the Irish climate. They really don't like the wet. So they need, good morning, Deirdre. So they need really dry place, which they can't here. Even the atmosphere is wet in Ireland during the winter. So I'm hoping now with Kitty's jeans. Yes, Kitty Hauna. Kitty Hauna came on Halloween night, and I was going to call her Samhain, and it was fantastic. But she was such a character, I couldn't change her name. Kitty was her name, and Kitty was the way she had to be called. So I called her Kitty Hauna, Kitty of Halloween. So I'm hoping with her genes, the Angora kids will have better feet for the Irish climate. That's it, and they've all headed away now, but I'm sure they'll all be back in a minute. There's, yes, so my eye, I was thinking about my eye. It was very sore, and thank you to everybody for all the good wishes, the advice. I had some arnica there, so I took some arnica tablets and the cold tea bag, and which was great because when I go to town or when I go out, I don't wear a mask. I wear one of these snoods, I think they're called, like an elastic thing around here, and I was able to put it around my head this way, and it kept the tea bag in place overnight. And a lot of creative visualization, which I do a lot of, and that was really good for healing as well. So it's fine out, but I remember growing up, if you had a sty in your eye, and a sty was just a horrible kind of a swelling, I think it was a lot of malnutrition, because good morning, Simon. So a lot of malnutrition growing up, and if you got a sty, the cure was you'd go up to Dad, and when Dad was milking the cows, you'd go up really, really, really close, and he'd squirt the milk into your eye to get rid of the sty. It was quite a dramatic cure. I never really, I never can remember did it work or not, but it was so dramatic. It was fantastic. And I think I just remember getting, like, being really close and getting the squirt, and he'd lash it in. So that was, I think you just forgot about the sty after that. You were a little bit traumatized. Yes, Mom and Dad, God bless them, had lots of different cures, and I have to get clearance from my two sisters to talk about another story someday. But I have to get clearance first, as I say. And during the week, I don't know how it came down. Oh, I was talking about Cuchulainn and how Setanta got the name of Cuchulainn. And I was talking about football and hurling, and it came into my head, and I was going to tell you this story, but I said, you know, I'll wait till Yarn in the Barn, because I have a bigger story coming up. And I never played football. I had no interest in it. I was very lucky in the sense that I had no interest in it. I just didn't want to play. Whereas a lot of people were kind of bad and nobody wanted them to play back in the day when the population was so huge, they could pick and choose. Whereas I just didn't want to play football. So when I went to secondary school, I kept having sick notes. I got sick notes, and I was always sick. There was something wrong with me. It was an ingrown toenail, it was asthma, it was any kind of a thing you want. I had it, so I couldn't play football. And there was one teacher who really, I want to say he didn't like me, but that's too strong a word, really. He didn't care that much about me. But anyway, there was one day I didn't have a sick note, and he said, "Now, Larry, go over to the field. I want to see you togged off." So I had a pair of shorts anyway, and I was there in the field playing football, and I would so love if we had a webcam or it was on YouTube or something like this, because wherever the action was, wherever the football was, I made sure I was on the other side of the pitch. So if there was like 2 or 3 and the ball was running and they were trying to get it and they were all going, I was going around the other side down the back. I didn't care whose team I was on. Wherever the action was, I was somewhere else. And then I was put in goal, and every time somebody tried to kick the ball, I would run away from it. So of course they were just scoring left, right and centre. So I had to be taken out. So after that, I don't think there was any real pressure put on me to play another football match. It was really something else. I can never forget it, being over the field. I don't know who it was more traumatic for, me or the teacher. I think he never saw anybody dislike football so much. So, I have a story. And this is the yarn in the barn. We might move up a little bit. So, because my, oh, is Biddy coming down? So it's great when you try and move up, they come on down. Maybe we should just wait. Everybody's gone into there. We might move up. Good morning, Marcella. It's so hard. I'm going to have to get the big screen. Ah, look, they're all coming down. They heard the story was coming on, Ro. Look. That's right, Miles. Miles Nagopolene. Miles Nagopolene. Looks coming to Kalini. Where are the girls? Yeah. Yes. Yes. So, good morning. Somebody's saying good morning to me there. So this story is all about a princess. And this princess had a fantastic gift. Her gift was that she could see everything, always, everywhere. She could see through anything. She had X-ray vision. So her father, the king, decided that the only man that could marry her was the man who could hide from her. And he sent out a notice all over the kingdom and over the other kingdoms and onto the different continents that the man that could hide from the princess, if she was willing, good morning, Maureen, how's it going? The man that could hide from this princess, and if she was willing to marry him, then she could. So a lot of people tried and a lot of people failed. But there was a young man in a small village and he had a few goats, and he said, I'm going to try my hand at winning the princess. So he left his goats and he left his village and he left everything behind him and he headed off to find, oh, very good, Rosemary, how's it going? And he just headed off to find the princess's castle. And as he went, he looked and there was a little puddle. And inside in the puddle was a small little tadpole. He didn't know was it a frog or a fish or a toad or a what. But he said, poor Mr. Tadpole, you're not going to survive in there. So he got his handkerchief out of his pocket. He wet it in the puddle. He wrapped up the tadpole and put it into his pocket. And he headed off down the road. And after a while, he heard, wah, 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 wah. There was terrible squawking and squeaking, and there was feathers flying everywhere. He didn't know. There was a hawk and an eagle, and they were fighting over who was the better bird. And they had been fighting and fighting and fighting. And the young man, whose name was Thomas, decided, and Thomas said, how about this? Hawk, if you fly over to that mountain, and eagle, you fly over to that mountain, and when you're ready, I'll give a signal, and you fly here. Miley is playing with the gambion or whatever it is called, the holder of the phone. Now, and they said, yeah, and he said, whoever's here first is the better bird. And they all agreed, and they thought this was a great idea. So the hawk flew over there, and the eagle flew over there, and everything was fine. And they were both there, ready, set, and Thomas gave the signal, and they started flying. And the hawk was going like this, and he was going really fast, and he wouldn't stop. Miley, you won't stop either. And he was flying, but the eagle was going whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And the hawk was going, and he was giving bait. He had leather along the way, and his wings were flapping, and he was going. And the eagle kept going. But after a while, the hawk was getting tired and he could hardly keep going. But the eagle kept going whoosh, slow and whoosh, steady. Don't eat the phone, Miley. So it was all fine. Maybe this is better here. Yeah. It was all fine, and the eagle arrived first. So Thomas had no other choice, and he said, Mr. Hawk, the eagle is here. He seems to be the better bird. And the hawk said, you know something? I am so tired. of all this fighting and arguing, I'll concede the eagle is the better bird, and that's the end of it. So that was okay. And Thomas was heading towards the castle now, and he found the directions, and there he saw a little bush, a little rose bush, and there was a branch broken off with the bud of a flower on it. And he said, oh, little bud, you won't go too far. Look at you. You won't go too far like this. So he took out the bud and he put it into his lapel. Look at you. Are you joining us, Miley? You are. So he put the flower into his buttonhole, his lapel. And he went to the castle. And there was a huge moat around the castle. And Miley, I don't know what to do with you. You were starstruck, I think. So there was a huge moat around the castle, but the bridge was down. Thomas was very lucky that the bridge was down and everything was okay. Good morning, Nora. And everything was okay. So he knocked at the big door of the castle. And the king came out. He gave the servants the day off, obviously, that day. And the king came out and he said, welcome, welcome, welcome. You're very welcome. And Thomas told him he was in to hide from the princess. And the king said, come in, come in. And he said, have your dinner now. And they brought out the most wonderful dinner. It was absolutely beautiful. And the king said, now, you have 3 chances. In the morning, you go off and hide. In the afternoon, the princess will try and find you. And the evening, you come back, and the princess will tell you if she found you or not. And on the 3rd chance, if she finds you, whoosh, it's off with your head. Oh, Thomas didn't hear about this. And the king said, yes, yes, yes. We couldn't have all these people hanging around the place. That failed. We only wanted one successful fella to be living. So if the princess finds you 3 times, whoosh, it's off with your head. But the king said, don't worry. You've had this beautiful dinner. Have a great night's sleep. We have a lovely room prepared for you. And have a good night's sleep there. So Thomas was very worried. And he said, what am I going to do? And he went up to the bedroom and he looked out and there he saw the moat. And he said, I'll go for a walk. So he went out around the castle and there was a kind of a balcony around looking into the moat, and he thought of the little fish. And he opened out his handkerchief and the tadpole just floated in and off it went. And then he went around the road again, and there he saw a garden. And he thought of the little flower. So he planted the flower, and off he went. And he had a good night's sleep. It was a beautiful room, so he had a good night's sleep. And that was okay. The next morning, the king said, now, off you go and hide, and the princess will see if she can find you or not. So Thomas went out in the morning and he was looking around and he said, oh, will she find me here? She would. And he said, would she find me here? She would. Would she find me here? She would. And all of a sudden, who came into the moat? Only the little tadpole that he dropped in, and it grew into a fish. It grew into a huge fish, so big. And the fish spoke. And the fish said, climb inside my belly, Thomas. Thomas said, really? And the fish said, you were good to me, now I'll be good to you. So Thomas crept inside the fish's body. The fish closed his mouth and took Thomas off to the deepest part of the biggest ocean. Well, after lunch, the princess came out. She walked through her garden. She went up onto the balcony, up onto the highest tower, and she looked everywhere. She looked into every town and village. Could she find him? No. She looked all over into the bigger cities. Could she find him? No. She looked into the other kingdoms. Could she find him? No. She looked up into the sky and the planets and the stars. Could she find him? No. And then she looked into all the rivers, the lakes and the oceans, and she went, Father, he's inside in the belly of a fish in the deepest part of the biggest ocean. Oh, the father said, my goodness, he is one man for some man. And that evening Thomas came back, and the king ran out and he said, congratulations, congratulations, to hide in the belly of a fish in the deepest part of the biggest ocean. But it's no good, because we found you. Thomas was a bit disheartened now. And the king said, don't worry, have a good dinner and a good night's sleep, and you have your second chance tomorrow. Well, Thomas had his dinner, and he had a good night's sleep. But he was very, very worried now what was going to happen. So the next morning he got up early, he had a fantastic breakfast, and he walked out onto his balcony, and who came along? Whoosh, 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 the eagle. And he said, climb upon my back, Thomas. You were good to me, now I'll be good to you. So Thomas hopped up on the eagle's back, and the eagle flew off and took Thomas to the other side of the sun. Well, at lunchtime the princess came out. She went out onto her balcony. She went up onto the tallest tower, and she looked out everywhere. She looked all over the rivers, the lakes, and the oceans. Could she find him? She looked all over the continents and the cities and the towns and the villages. Could she find him? She looked into all the government buildings and all the libraries and all the schools. Could she find him? She looked up into the sky and the heavens and the planets and the stars, and she went, Father, he's hiding on the back of an eagle on the other side of the sun. And the father said, my goodness, this guy is no joke. This guy is serious business. So that evening Thomas came home, and the king ran out and he said, my goodness, fair play to you, man, to hide on the back of an eagle on the other side of the sun. But 'tis no good, because we found you. Thomas was so upset. But the king said, don't worry, look, you have one more chance tomorrow. Don't you worry at all. You'll be fine out, and maybe you won't get killed the next day. So Thomas was a bit worried now about trying to hide, getting found. And he said, if she found me in the deepest part of the ocean, if she found me behind the sun, where can I hide? So he didn't sleep well that night, but he got up the next morning, he had his breakfast, and he walked out into the gardens. And there he found the little twig that he had planted. And it had grown into a fine big bush with a beautiful flower on it. And the flower spoke to the shepherd. And it said, jump inside me, shepherd, or Thomas. And Thomas said, really? Yes, it said, jump inside me. So Thomas jumped and into the flower. And later that lunchtime, the princess came out. She was going out onto the balcony, and there she saw the most beautiful flower she ever saw in her life. And she went over and she picked the flower, put it into her own lapel, and up she went to the tallest tower. And she was looking out everywhere. Straight away she went into the stars and the sky and the heavens and the planets. Could she find him? No. She looked into the oceans, the rivers, and the lakes. Could she find him? No. She looked in every goat shed and cow shed and everything all over the kingdom. Could she find him? No. She looked in every palace all over the world and every other kingdom. Could she find him? No. And she said, Father, I can't find him. And he said, what? Look again. And she looked up and low and here and there on shot is unsued, and there was no way she could find him. And she said, Father, I have to give up. I cannot find him. And the king said, well, my goodness, if you'd like to marry this man, this is the man you should marry, because he is the one man that can hide from you. And with that, Thomas jumped out of the flower in front of the princess, and they agreed that they would get married. And that was all right. And many years later, they had a fantastic wedding, and they had a great marriage together. And Thomas was a very good king, and she was a very good queen, and everything was fantastic, until one day she said, do you know, Thomas, I often wonder, how was it that I couldn't find you when I looked all over the world? And he said, 'tis very simple. because I was the closest thing to your heart. And they lived happily ever after. There we go. And that is a story. I really do like that story because sometimes, the things that we most need, that we most want, they're so close to us. They're right next to us. And we often look in other spaces and other places about, and men need to hide from their women. Well, you need to know where to hide. If you can hide from your woman, you have a good chance of having a good marriage, I'd say. That's it. Hold on now. We'll have a look, see who's up here. I know somebody was looking, Jackie was looking for a tour of the shed. What did you think of that, Jessie? They're all here now. I don't know, can you see? As I say, I'm getting much better at the wobbledy phones. But it is, I do like that story because often we're looking for things. What do you think, Jessie? What are you telling me things? Yes. Yes, and show off the new colour. I love the colour. I love the purple. Because I used, there were nearly always black colours I'd get before. But we went off and we got coloured ones. There we go, Jessie. I'm going out to food. Ho-ho! So, this, and hold on now. Bear with me. There's where Jessie gets milked. Good girl, Jess. There we go. So there's a bucket of food there. And this is where I milk Jessie. That's it. Good girl, because if she knows if she's standing here, she should get food. We might have to wait another day. So we'll keep cracking on, and I'm not too sure what to do for Patrick's Day. There is so much on. Everybody is looking for your attention, but we'll have our morning crack anyway. We might have something extended. Yes. What do you think, Jessie? Oh, Thon, I'm sure good done. Who's Unity just tore in. I don't know, did she hear the talk? Or I think the weather is getting tough again, Unity. What do you think? Yeah, I'd say they're all heading in now. It's so showery and the hailstone is desperate. It's really kind of brutal when it comes. Hello, Susan. Come on in. Come on in. Susan, they're all coming in now. This is our Patrick's Day parade here now. Because I don't know, somebody was saying about having a goat parade, and it would be great, but I'm not too sure how it would work. Kitty, your two are outside now. Driocht and Druid, but they'll be in a minute. Unity. So, we shall see you tomorrow morning. Who's this? Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Miley, you're getting too big for your britches. You are. So the other two are outside. So, have a lovely week, everybody. Next Saturday again for Yarn in the Barn. During the mornings, around 8:20, that kind of way, we have crack in the morning with the goats and a little story. And we'll talk about... Is this on? No, this is every Saturday. Every Saturday at 11 a.m. And Yarn in the Barn. It's a longer story and just a few more bits about me. Whereas the other mornings are more about the goats and what's happening with them. But we have me in the other mornings and the goats as well. Have a great week, everybody, and we'll talk to you very soon. Go raibh maith go bhar fad. Slán.